Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom left-hand corner of the Nevada Triangle in a city called Fresno, California. Hello, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host for the show. I'm also the founder of a group called the Sanger Paranormal Society. Been investigating the paranormal going over 14 years. So I'm just not up here talking about it. I'm actually living it. I have a team. One member of the team is sitting on the other side of the couch again today, Mr. Alan Thomas.
Hi, all. How you doing?
Bringing us in on the keys, Mr. Ryan Bardelis, better known as Neon the Unknown.
Neon the Unknown. Yeah. Well,
and
we know who he is.
We have a very, very special guest. I am very excited that we have Mr. Bigfoot Joe sitting in with us.
How's it going?
You guys are in for a frickin' treat tonight. I have a feeling we might be going past 2 hours. I'm not sure, so if you have to go to the bathroom, you better do it now. If you got a six-pack, you better get it put in the ice chest, put it right near your sofa with the laptop. Yeah, same thing goes for your sodas. And if you ordered a pizza, you better tell the delivery guy to better get there quick. Oh, what the hell? Here, we lost configuration on the Meebo.
Huh. Is that what happened? I was trying to talk on it.
Yeah.
It says it froze.
Okay, why would it do that? All right, let's try this again. Hold on. That's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We're still on Facebook.
Okay.
At least I think we are.
I think I know what happened.
Let's see here.
Come on. Rose right there.
Now it's on.
Okay.
Yeah,
We should be
it's just a
coming
little
on.
delayed, huh? It's like
Using me with Mike.
we're in a time warp because it's a little bit delayed there.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely delay. Okay, we're back on live stream for sub USB. It shut me down. What's going on here? Hold on, you guys.
Live stream again?
Yeah, hold on. I don't know what's going on. I'm hitting USB. There it is. Wow.
Is it because I'm in the
No, not at all. Okay,
It's all because of you, Alan.
it's all because of Alan. All right.
Well, I mean, I'm in the live stream
No,
or paranormal
you're good.
account.
No, you're fine. No. All right. Hello, everybody. Let me tell you what's going on right now is that Livestream decided to go back. When I signed up for Livestream on the new network they had, you could broadcast Livestream and Facebook Live at the same time. But with the new firmware update, you can't do that anymore. It's just Livestream or Facebook or Periscope or YouTube. So what I'm doing right now is I am broadcasting on the new system on the Livestream, and on Facebook we're doing it with an iPhone, unfortunately. So you're going to be able to see everything in close-up mode on Livestream. So if there's something you want to see in close-up mode later on, you can go to Livestream and watch it. But on Facebook, it's just going to be a static shot, unfortunately, until later on. Trust me when I say we are going to get some cool stuff here pretty soon, and we're going to bump this up even higher. So there it is. All right. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate it wherever you are. Thank you for bearing with us here on the technical difficulties. But like I said, it's only me doing this. But give us another 2 weeks. We're going to have a crew in here working on the Sundays things for us. So I can't wait for that. I'm not going to even discuss the TV show right now. We got to get into this because we're going to be doing a lot of talking, a lot of serious stuff going on tonight because the subject matter is going to be intense tonight. Okay, if you are not a believer in the supernatural and the paranormal, then tonight, what you're going to hear tonight is going to be beyond belief to you. You're going to think, absolutely no way, no how. You guys, all of you guys in that studio are on crack and meth and cocaine and everything, okay? All right? But we have proof.
Well, I'm not on Coke, but I am on Pepsi.
Yeah, we have proof that what we are about to tell you tonight is all true, and we have stuff that we're going to show you. Okay, so you guys, I don't know how long you guys have been watching us, but we have talked about the paranormal when it comes to Bigfoot around the valley floor for a long time. You guys know that we have had calls from people who don't know each other around a certain area northeast of Fresno, south of Sanger. So we're talking the valley floor. We're not talking the mountains. We're not talking 7,000, 10,000, 11,000 feet. We're talking down here.
Yep. Your neighbor.
Okay?
Right by your neighbor's house.
We're talking people who back then, who didn't believe in this SHIT, who saw something and it changed their lives 180. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because the person that we have sitting right here was a witness to several Bigfoots who back up the testimony of Keith the farmer and those two little boys who saw the Bigfoot, that you guys all know what I'm talking about if you have been watching me. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to get intense, guys, tonight. We're going to get so freaking intense, it's going to be intense. I don't even know what to say. I mean, trust me, when I say we're going to blow your mind tonight. Okay. Joe, when did we when did we get in contact? What year was it? How many years ago?
It was around almost 3 years ago now.
3 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
just about.
Okay.
So,
Dang, that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that long.
Sorry.
time flies, man.
Okay.
But yeah, it was
It was a long time ago.
about
Okay.
2 years and 9 months, I believe.
Okay. So you had a sighting on the property that you're at. How did you get a hold of me? What did you do to get a hold of me?
You know, I had a sighting prior to a few months prior to I just seen a huge black thing out in the horse corral, and I started publishing it to my boss and stuff. They thought I was nuts, but it wasn't until later when it got really crazy around my house that I just wanted to call to see what. I don't know what made me call you guys, but I looked you up on probably Google or something. I don't remember.
So you Googled what?
I was looking up information on. I used to call them, Bigfoots, and that's what I thought.
Right.
That's what I called these, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up some people that have had encounters, and maybe these people would know more about them than I do. So I was willing to, kind of expand and go talk to people about it, because I live alone. I work alone, as you guys have seen.
Right.
I don't have any neighbors, and I live out there alone. And I think I'm just kind of winging it.
Sure.
I'm sure I thought that I want to talk to somebody else that has had experience with these things. So
Okay. So you Googled Bigfoot around Sanger, and all of a sudden the Sanger Paranormal Society came up, I'm assuming, and there was a phone number attached to that.
right, and I think I got a hold of you.
And
right,
you
Jeff?
you called me, my 24-hour hotline that I've had for going on 13 years now.
And you guys bought me pizza and everything.
Okay. So this is what happened. You called me. I answered the phone.
Yeah.
And you told me you spotted something on your property, and you really didn't want to talk about it over the phone. I needed to speak to you in person. And I said, okay, so let's meet. I called Alan. We set up a time and a date, and we met at the Me and Ed's Pizza in Sanger, California,
Yep.
Northgate Shopping Center. All right. So we met. It was like 7 o'clock. Here, and Alan and I are munching on pizza, and all of a sudden the door opens, and we see this dude walk in, all dirty, jeans all dirty, right? Because you just got off work. This is what you do, right? So you walk in, I'm going, okay, this guy must be the dude, right? So you introduced yourself, and we sat down, and I said, okay, spill it.
Yeah.
And
it took him a half hour.
No, it took longer than that, man.
Probably more.
No, remember
yeah.
me and Ned said we're closing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're gonna.
Yeah, but you know what? I know you had no idea who we were really,
No.
what we're gonna say, or if we're gonna judge you, or.
Well, at that point, I didn't
You know.
even care. I was scared out of my boots, man. I was. I remember you asked me, "Did you see one?" And I just kind of laughed, and I was like, "You're not. I can't talk about it because my house was surrounded with these things for like. I always say it was a month, and it was a spiritual thing that got worse and worse until, man, I had to call somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, it got bad. So.
Right. So we show up. He talked about first his sighting that he had up in the mountains.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, many years ago.
Many
That was
years-
probably 12 years ago.
Right. And then you started talking about what you witnessed at your house. And at that time
That's
you
right.
said you lived up in the mountains. You lied to us because
Yeah.
and I mean
I didn't want anybody coming over.
right.
But
But so you explain. Go ahead, tell everybody in a simple condensed form. But we're going to get into it deeper. Pretty much condense it to what you were witnessing around your place.
yeah. Well, the first one at the place was, and again, this one was on the when you guys when we did the video.
Uh-huh.
I kind of explained this. Is the first one was
Okay, now you have to remember the people who saw that's in the TV. This is all over the world, so
Right.
they haven't. So you're gonna you
Right.
have. I want you to elaborate and don't leave anything out.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the first one I had encountered, was one night I was out there and I heard this rustling around, like banging around a little bit out in the corral because I'm on a ranch and I always had my rifle and I've got a hunting light hooked to it, so I walked out there and I just pointed my rifle out there in the corral and I noticed that there was something that was blocking the view of the haystack, and it was black. And I was thinking, why can't? Because my hunting light is very, very bright, and I'm sitting there thinking, why can't I see the hay? So I took a few side steps to the left, and when I moved, it went. I mean, whatever this thing was, it moved so fast that I was like, I almost had to blink. Like, did I just see something? The movement was so quick that it was almost like it vanished, But then I heard this noise. It went like the fence, the corral, metal gates, the rickety. I heard the shake. I heard the shake of the gate. So I was like, "Oh, it was something," and I didn't run over there. I don't think because I was like, this thing, whatever it was big because it was blocking the haystack. Now the hay doesn't even start. There's a manger where you feed animals, and it probably exceeds up to like 6 feet. Before you can even see the hay, it's 5 or 6 feet. There's boards, and then the hay. So whatever this thing was, it was well over 6 feet. Well over.
It was blocking the hay.
It was blocking the hay, yeah. And so I always say it was probably 9, 10. I don't know. It was big. It was wide. But the speed of it wasn't even right, man. The speed of it was so... Like, it was like a laser. That was good sound effects, huh? But it was like a laser beam going off. Gone. And so I walked over there and I was looking around for tracks. It was kind of muddy out. No tracks though. There had been hoofs from my horses and stuff and stuff, but there was no. I was already looking for like big old feet because I had believed in these. I used to call them like we still sometimes call them Bigfoots since many years prior in the mountains when me and a friend of mine had seen something that would resemble the classic Bigfoot. It was a big old guy covered in matted hair. I saw one when I was younger, so I was already looking. I go, man, it might be one of those things, and so I was looking for tracks. There was no tracks at all, which was very strange. So I started wondering, I don't know what it was, but and that was it. And I didn't see or hear nothing for months until later on when. And the funny thing was that I used to always back then I had sometimes I would watch this show called Finding Bigfoot. I used to love that show, and so I remember that they would knock on sticks and knock things.
Right.
Which is one night we were messing around many months later, and me and a buddy of mine, and it was bedtime. I said, let's get ready to crash. But before we do, let's do something. And I let out this yell, man. I'll never forget it. I could have, like, put some of these death metal singers to shame. I mean, bro, I was like, as loud as, and I blew my voice out. To this day, my voice, you hear how it's kind of messed up. I don't know if it was from that yell, but it was the most epic yell you ever heard. And sure enough, and this was months later, one of them called back. And it went, and it was way not as heavy metal as mine. Whatever yelled back to me at midnight, it was like, ah, woo. And I was like, so I saw some idiots out in the pasture. And that's what started the encounters months later after that.
Okay.
That's how they came, I guess. It was bizarre, man.
Okay, so you told us basically that, I mean, you at one point when if it's okay to say, when we were in the me and Ed, you actually broke down and started to cry.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was very emotional for you, because I think you probably have kept this inside for a long time and you haven't told anybody.
Well, and the things that I was seeing, like I'm sure we'll get into in a little while, was,
Right.
I mean, it was really frightening, man. And I realized by the time I had called you guys, I think I was starting to fully realize that these things weren't just physical beings. There was something more in it, and they were getting my fears out, and my fears it was starting to take over me. And so, man, it was a very intense thing.
I bet, like, you know, when you pull in your property, it's like an outdoor thing. I bet when you were first figuring out what they were, and I think they already had you figured out and had been there a while,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But only when you get out of your car and you got to unlock, you know, like unlatch the gate and then drive through it, and then you got to get out again, you know, and latch the gate. I bet you never did it so fast. You know, I bet there was some nights that you wish you didn't even have to get out of your car, you know.
Alan, that's so true. Especially with this one that I used to call it Uncle Leroy for some reason. I thought it was called Uncle Leroy. It was this.
It might be.
It was-
You know what I mean? It might be.
Okay,
His name was Uncle Leroy.
Okay, before we, so check this out. So so we're still at the me and Ed's place.
Yeah.
Then you'd say, it's 9 o'clock. They're kicking us out of me and Ed's, and then you say, "Do you guys want to go to my place so I can show you where all this happened?"
Yeah.
And then Alan and I said, "Well, hell yeah!" And then you go, "Well, I lied to you guys. I don't live up in the mountains."
Right.
And I went, and
I was happy. I was like, all right.
okay, and then
Not as far on gas.
yeah, and then you said it's north of Sanger, and I said you just follow us, and I said okay. So we hopped on the vehicle, we went down Academy Avenue, and we started going north, and we're following them, and Alan and I are just talking and going, man, I wonder where this place is at. So we passed the 180, and then we passed a couple more streets, and all of a sudden we make a right on Shields Avenue, and I went,
Yeah. Even me, I'm like, oh my god!
and I'll tell you
I hope
why.
he drives us a little further, and then it was almost instantly we're going to
Okay.
the driveway. Like,
Okay, so we're going down eastbound on Shields Avenue.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, we're starting to slow down. And we passed the house where 2 years prior to your call, we got another call from a family where their sons and their neighbors saw a Bigfoot in the marshy area in this tangerine field. And I go, Alan, we're passing the house. I go, isn't that where the kids live? And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah. And then all of a sudden, your brake lights came on, and you turned in.
Oh, my
And we
God.
turned in, and we went, holy shit.
oh my god, dude.
Okay? I go, no effing way. And then we get out of the car, right, and I go, Joe, do you know who lives over there? And he goes, no. I go, are you serious? No. Well, should I? And I'm going, 2 years ago, 3 kids saw a Bigfoot walk into some bushes across the street where you saw your 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, I believe him. Right
Yeah.
there and then, I said, oh my God, we got a serious case here.
See,
We
that-
got a serious case.
Exactly what I thought. I was like, soon as we turned in your driveway, I knew we were going to hear some good stories.
Absolutely.
Because there, I mean, we had been out there like how many times? Like
At that-
we
yeah.
were walking and videotaping, and we searched the whole area over that 2 years, probably like a dozen
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were already ready. Like when we turned on your street, We both are going.
We're
oh
like,
my
we're like,
God,
we're like,
you
we're
know,
getting jumpy. We're getting excited
because it doesn't go that far.
Okay,
You know what
so
I mean? Like,
so when we
oh,
pulled into your
damn,
place and we
yeah.
got out, and I got out really quick. I go, Joe, do you know who lives over there? And you said no, and then I told you, and then you just went, there you go, you know. And I'm going, son of a bitch, I believe you did, because I mean, okay.
Well, I think you guys believed me before that because you could sell in my eyes.
Yeah,
I
no.
wasn't playing
from
no games.
inside, in
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
that was one of the things. Like,
When you broke down and
Yeah.
you know that just told me there's some serious stuff going
There
on.
was a lot of serious stuff going on, and
Like,
like
the
I
only
said,
thing
I
for
was
me
into
was-
drugs back then. I was into drugs
right,
and drinking,
and we're going to get into that, but
Yeah.
but okay, so then we got down in your place. You set a fire, and we started talking. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? We knew there was something going on with you at
Right.
that point in time.
right?
Okay, I'm pretty aware of when somebody's on drugs.
Yeah.
I know how they move, how they talk, how they
Right.
look. Okay,
Yeah.
and Ellen is the same way. We knew
Right.
you were on something,
Yeah,
but
well, you might not have been on it right at that
at that
minute,
time,
right.
but
but only you were giving like case textbook reactions to something really is happening to you,
Right,
whether it's
right.
Bigfoot or whatever. We didn't know.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. But that
Right,
you know,
right.
but see, we knew you were on something, but I didn't give a shit. Okay, because
Right.
the two boys who spotted that Bigfoot across. Okay,
They weren't.
they weren't. All right, so we're at that point where you started telling us the story. Now, I want you right now, everybody, this is going to be so freaking bizarre that
I'm scared.
okay, and you know what? Before you start talking, open up that towel and lift it up.
Oh yeah.
And show everybody really quick before you start, because I want
And this,
to.
okay, now this is on the valley floor in a tangerine orchard, and you don't. Nobody believes anything, but that's toes.
All right, go ahead, and
And then whenever I think I'm crazy, sometimes and I think that I was out of my mind, I thank God that He was able to leave me with this because even if I lose this or in the future, I know what I know what
What
I know.
you saw.
I
Right,
know what
right.
I've seen and
Okay,
encountered.
now-
So this was a mold that I had found that I had made, but it took me forever to find. Can the camera see it?
Yeah.
there's my.
Well, Jeff can zoom in on it on the.
I wear like a
Mevo.
size 12 big old boots, and I don't know if that.
Yeah, and you can see where the what was the irrigation
Okay.
pipe right here.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
Irrigation
For
pipe.
those who are on Facebook right now, I posted pictures of his photographs that he took the day he found this footprint across the street where he lives,
see.
in the same field where the kids saw their Bigfoot. Now, on the picture, it's not on live stream. No, I think it is on live stream too. If you notice,
Slow.
there is a irrigation
Rerun.
pipe that the Bigfoot stepped on
goes right through there.
right
obviously.
there. Now, this
And they got
irrigation
all
pipe.
five, there's
Here's the-
one, two.
It's like
three,
it was
four.
a black 1-inch
five.
drip line.
About,
Yeah.
drip. Okay, so the thing was so heavy that it was able to leave the impression of the toes and the whole foot, even pressing on the irrigation
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Well, if you remember,
Yeah, like-
this was
This part right
February
here is
or
the
early?
heel. Okay, like that's the heel, and then this is the toes. So you already could tell, like it's huge. And this right here, this is the proof that they come in the valley floor,
Okay,
and,
so,
and that's unheard of, and everybody doesn't believe that.
so what
part,
is
right?
what is the size of that, Joe?
I think it was like 16 inches or something,
Yeah,
right?
16, 17 inch.
Okay.
We can actually measure it.
Okay, so now, since we have provided you with this cast of what
Here, let me
what
see
was
that. Let me
walking
see that.
on the outside, now he's going to tell you what he witnessed in that field
set it over
after
here.
he went to go basically go and investigate. So tell us the first night that you saw this, that you saw them? Because there was more than one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
go
yeah.
for it. Go for it. It's all
Well, the
yours.
first night, it goes back to, I had a buddy staying the night, and it got to be about midnight, and I said, well, he was going to come to work to build fence with me the next day, and I said, let's go ahead and just go in and, get ready to crash out, and he said, okay, and I said, you know what? Watch this, man. Let's do this, just for fun. It was a real quiet, dark night, and I said, let's just make a yell and see if anything calls back. And my buddy was like, okay. He probably thought it was kind of stupid, but I don't remember exactly if he knew what I was doing or not, but I was like, I'm just going to yell for one of those Bigfoots, man. I was kind of messing with him. It was almost like a joke, but it wasn't a joke to me because remember a few months prior, that's when I had seen that big thing blocking the haystack. So remember I used to watch that show Finding Bigfoot prior to that.
Right.
Which we didn't even talk about that first mountain encounter I had when I was fishing. We didn't talk about that tonight yet, but maybe we'll go back to that. So I let out my death metal scream the best I could. I put Phil Anselmo from Pantera to shame. And I just completely I just yelled, man. And well, a few moments later, way out there in the pasture, way out, you hear this. Oh, woo. And me and my buddy looked at each other, and we're like just looking at each other's eyes, like, did you hear that? And we're like, my buddy goes to talk, and I'm like, silence, I'm like, wait, I'm listening, and so I go, let's try something else, man. Let's try something else. So I take a stick. Now, out there in those pastures, there's no sticks at all. Like, it's clockwork out there, man. I mean, there's no sticks out there. It's clean. It's not. There's no sticks. It's wide open land, which will make a difference.
So, like, how could they make a knock back?
Yeah,
right? That's
so
what you think.
it was very
so it was
bizarre.
like type thing.
But it wasn't, because I had a stick in my hand, a broomstick or an axe handle, and I went up to a tree and I went, da, da, da. And me and my buddy sitting there. My buddy starts talking. I'm like, silence. And I'm like, I hear you. No. There's silence. And I'm like, wait. And all of a sudden, ta, ta, ta. And at this point, my buddy kind of got upset. And he was like, what the,
Like, who'd you put out there?
Yeah, we're like, what the heck, I'm sure we didn't say that word, but, and he's like, no way, no way. I'm like, dude. And all of a sudden we hear this. There's barbed wire fence. We hear this. I'm like, and it was the sound of barbed wire ringling, like if you're hopping a barbed wire fence. The old, the sound? Again, I had I'm sure I had my rifle with my same light on it. I don't remember, but I remember looking with a flashlight way out there and didn't see nothing. But my buddy heard this, and my buddy wigged out, and he said, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" I'm like, "I think so." He's like, "No, you didn't hear it." He's like, "I heard a clap way out to the left," and this time it was right next to us already, like in the driveway out in the oranges, and I'm like, okay, and he freaked out. He went and grabbed his rifle, and he's walking around, and I'm just staying patient. I'm like, I was happy. I was like, this is awesome.
Somebody's experiencing it besides just you, right? Like,
yeah, and I was like,
yes.
This was a buddy. This was my brother, basically. We grew up together since we were little, and our whole life we used to say my buddy's house was haunted when we were kids. Famous, when we were kids, we'd see all kinds of interesting, crazy things, which we'd known each other our whole life. It seems like my whole life's been one of these lives where I see them, and it's just bizarre. But so we go out to the driveway. My buddy's got his rifle in his hand. He's walking like those hunters in Jurassic Park when they're looking for the raptors. He thinks he's like a Delta Forces operative or something. And he's walking to the road, and he's got his rifle, and he's looking, and I'm like. And I'm looking, and I'm like, I think I might. I don't remember if I had mine or not, but so I go, come here, Matt, come here. My gate's closed. Well, I go, let's clap, let's do it. And so we started doing it. It was like 3 claps like that. A break, 2 claps. Sure enough, man, momentarily you just hear this right back from over there, and then again to the left. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then you hear this. Some sound too behind the house. I'm like,
We're
how is it?
surrounded.
Yeah, I'm like, how is it that we're surrounded by noise? And my buddy already was 10 steps ahead of me. He goes, these aren't what you think they are. And I said, no, Matt, they're Bigfoots. They're Bigfoots. Matt goes, no. He goes, there's something pretending to be what you want him to be. And he was so far beyond me that looking back, that was wisdom. And so I said, no, Matt, these are Bigfoots, man. We walked to the road. Here we are, Jurassic Park hunting, man. And we walked the road, we opened the gate, and we start approaching these trees. Very reluctantly, I remember thinking, I don't want to go out there. But we did. We tried to be brave, so we start approaching this orange tree, and there it is. And we get close, and there's this darkness out there. I can't explain it. It was so dark. The flashlight wouldn't even see in the orchard. It was so dark. It was just, it was literally a crazy thick darkness that, amazing. But as we get to the first tree line, we hear this, literally this, like that. It was a huge grunt. And then, and man, when we heard that, I mean, we ran back to that gate. I remember screaming like a complete girl, like, and just booking it, like a Usain Bolt. I probably could have beat the world record sprinter. I mean, I was moving, bro. We got to cross that road, and back in that gate, I smoked Matt. Get in here, Matt. Get the. I was probably saying to a lot of customers, get in here. Close the gate. Put our rifles back out there, and we're looking. And you just hear this. Feet, movement, all kinds of things going on. And we stood there for a long time listening. And you just knew. You could feel there's something just watching us, and there was something all around us. And so who knows how long went by. We got the courage to open the gate. And we decided to walk out to the middle of the road. And we shot this fog. It was a foggy. All of a sudden, because this was February, and there was hardly ever fog anymore around here.
Right.
There was fog. To the left side, there's a huge chunk of fog. But when we shined our light on it, there was like this cloud. And there was a guy, and he was behind this stop sign warning sign that tells you that impeding stop ahead. When they put a stop sign warning before the stop sign?
Mm-hmm. Right. Prepare to stop.
Prepare to stop. And he was there, and he walked into the road, and we're just like, and he went into this cloud, and he was gone. He disappeared. And boy, we
okay. So we went to the sign.
Yeah. And
you said this thing head was peeking over it,
right, with his hands
on it like this.
I didn't see him do that. My friend did.
Okay.
I saw him when he had left the sign, and I saw a very quick glimpse of someone in the road, and he you could tell it looked physical, but it wasn't, because it went off and it disappeared in the fog. There was no noise, no prints.
Okay. Now, just to let you guys know, when we went back after he told us the story, we went up to that particular sign. That sign itself, at the very top, was about 8 foot. Mm-hmm. 8 foot, 9 foot around. Okay, so when he said the thing hands were on top and the thing was peeking over it,
right.
So this thing could have been 9 easy.
9 foot tall, 10 foot tall. Yeah.
We got a question.
Now, also too, to let you guys know, I took Mickey Burrell out there, my forensic guy, and to go dust for fingerprints on the top. And
no results.
No results. We didn't find anything, unfortunately. But I had to back up the pickup, and Mickey had to jump on the pickup on a ladder or I don't know what it was, and he dusted for fingerprints. The police officer did, and because I know he was telling the truth, and I was not going to leave anything behind. I mean, if there's freaking fingerprints on there, damn it, I'm going to get some.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there was none. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. But anyways, continue.
Wait, would Bigfoot have a thumbprint though?
Yep.
Yeah. We've got them before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got them on my truck.
Well, that's assuming that we're dealing with a hominid or a species or a mammal.
Right.
That's assuming that we're dealing with what we think we are, which is
right. But the thing that have happened to you doesn't go that way.
Okay,
No,
so
okay.
we got a question out of chat. It says, like, now they're in there with the animals, the cows and the horses and stuff, running around out there. Do the horses and cows freak out, or do they go natural, or do you find the horse's manes braided or anything like that?
No, I didn't. But there was actually. I've never told this. I'm glad that was a good question. I'm glad they asked. During this time, we had like 52 steers. Okay.
Steers. Okay,
like,
that's the boys.
They were young cattle. Yeah,
okay.
Boys that are castrated.
Already cut. Yeah.
And going to sell. They were young, small calves. But
next one you get's mine.
You want to eat one up? You barbecue ribs? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We will. Okay, so what was it called? There was steers. There was 52 steers. Yeah. We had a bunch of steers out there in the pasture, and one night, I don't remember when, it was during this month of just crazy stuff going on. One of our steers was out in the road, running down the road in the middle of the night, and the fence was not damaged at all. And now these steers were not little. These were probably between the weight of like 500 to 800 pounds, maybe some a little smaller, 400 range, but they were all big.
So like 2 years old, year and a half.
A year, yeah, like a year. And so, what? We never could figure out how in the world this guy got out. And the next day, a neighbor actually had called my boss and said, "Bring him back," you know. And they had him in their truck, and then he was going down the road running, kind of weird. We never could figure out how he got out because the fences were completely fine all the way around. So as far as bothering the livestock went, I don't know, but that thing was out, and the fences were. Those fences are tall, so I always thought maybe one of them grabbed one and had it on his shoulder, and ran off, and the steer got away. That's what I thought, but I don't know.
Or it opened up the gate and shished it out.
That it could have opened a gate and left it out. I don't know. Or it could have just got out because there is some old fence in the back. So, okay. But that was the only thing with livestock that ever went wrong.
Okay. But you don't notice them like reacting weird,
no,
or
the horses
making noise or anything like that when these things come around.
See, and during this time I was into drugs, meth and stuff, and I used to have a horse that I would ride, and he would respond to me. It wasn't right because he knew something was up with me. So the horses were kind of off. They were kind of on edge. They weren't like spooked real bad. The older horses were just completely fine though. One horse, which of mine, was always bucking anyways, but he was he acted crazy. And I think it was because me, that I was into drugs, and there was stuff going around there that was just crazy, and they could probably see that better than we can, like kind of like dogs can. So
okay, so one night you happened to have you saw these things. I mean, up close.
Yeah, actually, there's many different times.
Describe to everybody how many you saw at one time.
Like the most in once?
You mentioned a number.
Yeah, there was one time. This one's actually kind of weird and funny. One time, I seen 3 in a row, and when I looked, and this was out in the corral where I'd seen that first one months prior, there was 3 black figures, and they were in a single file line, and it was really weird. And they were standing like 1, 2, 3 in a single file line, and the one in the front was flapping his arms like a bird. And when I looked at them, it was like they all started moving like this. It was really weird. The moving was not like natural. It was some weird like moving. And then one of them took off, gone, and then the other 2 just like vanished. I don't know what happened to them. I can't explain it.
Okay.
That was the weirdest one when I saw that. I guess that was the most I saw. That was the clearest I saw that, and it was just very bizarre.
I remembered when we were there, and somewhere in the conversation, you mentioned 5 to us, the number 5.
Yeah, and one wacko.
Yeah, so I want you to describe everybody, all of them, because you have seen them many times. You know what they look like. You know their characteristics. You know possibly if they're a female or a male. You know if they had short hair, long hair, what color. Describe everybody what you saw.
Well, one night I came home, and like Alan was just talking about, it was so true that I was going to my gate, and I'd always be looking over my shoulders. And one night, I went home and I unlocked my gate and got in, and I was coming home, and I got to the gate, I closed it, and I drove, and there was this big old black thing. I can't see no detail, but there was a black thing, huge, and he went from my window where I would sleep. He went, and he crossed the road, and he disappeared in the trees. He did not break any trees or leave any tracks or make any noise. He was just there, and he just went across, and he was gone. Really close to me. I was like, wow. And at the time, I was like, that was awesome. I'm like, because I still thought that these were like some kind of forest creatures, but I didn't get it. It was so crazy, man. That was a pretty good one.
The one that sticks in my mind is when you were saying one of them was really tall, and you have those, I think there's sequoia trees or something like that on your property on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying one of them was standing there and he was holding a tree like that.
And
he's like, you lit him up, and then you let go. He let go of the tree, and it went, and he just backed up and took off. You know.
Yeah, there was one that I didn't see him. I saw the reflection of his eyes, and he was higher than an orange tree. He was like, he was holding the tree, and he was looking, and then he just went like that, and then the tree flicked in front of him again, and that thing was huge. That thing had to have been at least 15 feet tall because it was above a tree. That was crazy. And then there was also, I was seeing reflections of eyes out in the orchards that were really low, huge eyes, but they were on the ground.
They crawl on their bellies.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck? You know, that's really bizarre.
I found so much evidence of them crawling around our camps. It's ridiculous.
Describe the one that wasn't normal looking.
Are you talking about the little thing?
Well, the one that
the tall one in the crowd that looked at me?
Well, the one that you thought was sort of kind of
retarded.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the small one. That's Uncle Leroy, I called him.
Yeah.
Very.
He's like 5 feet tall or something.
Very, just completely. Just the most. One night I was coming home, and it's very dark, very dark. No crickets, no coyotes, no cars. Silence, okay? And you guys have seen where it's at. It's quiet. There's no car. There should be cars. But during this time, man, I didn't see any cars. I didn't hear any cars. I didn't hear any crickets. I didn't hear any coyotes. It was dead silent. And I get home one night. I go to open my gate, and I hear this. I'm like, I didn't even want to look. I looked, and I looked over my shoulder, and there's this little guy, man, and he's like 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall, maybe. I would say between 4 and 5 feet tall. And when I looked at him, he looked like he was all like, he had hair on him, but he looked old, man. He was messed up, and he wasn't physical though. He was like a spirit. I could see why people would say and I guess you could say he looked like a baby monkey man. But he looked like he was really small, and his arms and his legs were flailing all around, like out of socket. And he was going like this. And he was cracking and spasming. And when he was doing that, it was the most hideous thing and frightening thing I could ever see. It was so ugly, man. The thing had the ugliest look to it. His face was like a man and a monkey mixed. And it was so ugly, bro. And
dang, man,
it was going like this. And he was snapping.
He
was snapping. And his arms were flapping everywhere, out of control. It looked like his legs were breaking. Okay?
That reminds me of Werewolf in London, when the dude starts turning into a werewolf.
I've never seen it, but
like, man, just like all
he was doing that, but he was walking, and I don't know what happened, but he disappeared, gone, and I trying to get the hell in my gate.
Yeah.
And And I'm like you were saying, Alan, I couldn't look at the lock.
Right.
And that's when the fear really started to get me. And that was later. That was when it started to get worse. And I started not liking these things no more, and I wish they would leave. But they weren't going to leave until one night. But that was way later. But that was to me, that was the scariest one I saw with my actual, I guess it was my eyes. It wasn't or my spirit, it was my eyes, because that's what I seen. He was there. And it was, dude, it was nuts.
Now, okay, before you continue on, you guys all know we did an episode of him for TV, for our TV show, all right? It was him, Hillary, and at that point in time, Charles. They went, and the camera crew, and they set up around the campfire, for those who were able to see it. The camera was only focused on Joe, and he pretty much, for 44 minutes, told what he has been witnessing there. Now, a lot of people don't know is that, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but when you were talking, now obviously the lights were on you, there was stuff happening in the orchards across the street. The camera guys were telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. They said something was throwing shit at them. Okay. As a matter of fact, they heard something and they all turned around and said, "Did you guys hear that?"
I remember them.
Okay.
They were jumpy and they were always looking behind them.
Right. Now, RS, the producer, or it was Chris, but when they turned around, they saw something flying, they say, on the top of the tree line, moving like this, and they thought it was something flying. I don't think it was anything flying. I think they saw the head of a Bigfoot running.
Maybe so.
Okay.
They all said that. The one camera guy, he said that. He said he saw something go by really fast, and I was like, doesn't blow my mind at all.
Right.
And they could see that I wasn't afraid, and the only reason I wasn't afraid was because obviously God, the Holy Spirit, He gives you. You don't have fear of them, but you do respect them. You know that there's spiritual beings, there's physical and spiritual beings, hybrid deals, and then there's just bizarre stuff. So
right.
Being out there through all these things, it makes you more like. I remember they were very jumpy, and I remember that.
Yeah.
And now imagine that, but all alone for over a month. That's how bad when I met you guys. That's how scared I was.
Right.
I mean, it was fear, man. Fear, and then when it grips you like that, we were talking about this earlier off the air about how that fear can grip you, and when you're in a state of fear to where you're almost losing control, demonic spirits and entities like that, spiritual beings, there's like a door that's open, and they can really mess with you within the realm of fear. That fear, it grips you, and when you're in fear, it's a terrible place to be.
I think they feed on fear.
I think so too.
Like they'll first propagate it or get it going. You know what I mean? Like they'll do things around you to get you afraid, and it's almost like the more afraid you are, the more power they got. You know what I mean? And
I agree.
The more panicky you get,
that's right.
Even the more creepier and more power they got. More. You know what I mean?
Now let's segue on what you guys are talking about there. You were on certain drugs. Now, we're not going to get into what drugs you were in, but you were on certain drugs. I feel that these things, whatever they were, sense that you were at that place in your life, that they had the ability to come out and wanted you to see them so they can really F with you, basically.
Right.
Okay?
Just seeing them puts fear in you.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
You know what
right.
I mean? Like, and they love that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this whole ordeal, it changed your life.
Oh yeah.
You wanted all this to stop. Now, before all this occurred, you called yourself an atheist. You basically didn't believe in the big guy.
I would say that I would make fun of God, and basically I would make fun of Christians. My parents, raised me up to be Christian and stuff, but at an early age, I got into the drinking and the weed, and I didn't really deep down I knew about the resurrection and Jesus and stuff, and that I used to like those movies, like Exorcist, Poltergeist, all the ones where they get the newer Exorcist movies where the priest would cast out devils, and I was fascinated by that. And I believed in Jesus. It's just that I didn't. I don't know what it was. I thought my life was bad because I was depressed and stuff like that. So I didn't like. I guess I just didn't like God. I didn't like Christians. I didn't want to follow anything. I used to say, "Oh, that's just a bunch of writings from men," and I would say that and especially the Bible. I would really attack the Bible. I would say this is foolish. I would say this is just another religion. They're all the same. And I didn't want to hear about God. I had my God, which was my weed, and later on my other drugs. And that was my thing. That was my belief. That I'm just going to get high and, elevate my mind. That's what I thought I was doing. But I didn't realize.
Regardless, and I'm trying to tell people, regardless of what you were on,
right,
you found that footprint.
Yep.
Where the two boys witnessed that Bigfoot was in the same field that you witnessed all of these other things going on. Okay,
Yep.
So all those out there, regardless of whatever he was on, you have to take all that into consideration, the circumstances.
Yep.
And it doesn't effing matter what he was on.
Right.
Because he found that, and he didn't know those two boys saw the Bigfoot. He had no clue who even lived there. All right, so you got to take all that into consideration. I don't care if he was just doped up 24/7, 365 on weed, meth, crack, whatever.
Right.
You cannot bypass the circumstances that led us to his house because of the footprint and because of the two little boys witnessing the large creature in the marshy area in the same orange fields that he witnessed all that shit from. Mm-hmm. Okay? So before anybody starts attacking him because of the drugs, stop. Because I would not have him here if I didn't think this happened. And it did because of the circumstances before that.
Yeah.
Now, his life changed 180 because of all that was happening. We believe that whatever was out there sensed that he was in a low position in life, that they were able to do what they were doing to scare the out of him, until one day he said stop. And I want him to go at that point. And
one more thing, like those little boys, like I'm not going to name his name or anything, but one of them is no longer with us.
Let's go and talk about that.
He commits suicide, and I'm not going to say how or anything like that.
No. I think it's very important to say how, because him and I were talking about that on the way over here. You have to understand, these two little boys was probably 9 and 11 years old.
Yeah.
They were homeschooled. They didn't go to public schools, okay? Christian family. We heard about a year and a half ago, the older boy, 11-year-old boy, committed suicide by hanging himself inside the house when the family went to go to the store or something. Okay, so the boy who witnessed the Bigfoot committed suicide, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Now, think about that. Have you ever heard of a boy? The first thing in mind is the poor boy was bullied in school.
But then
he didn't go to school. Okay? So I believe, and I think Joe believes, and everybody who believes what's going on here, is those things were very evil. Mm-hmm. And I believe whatever it was made that boy do that. And that goes for, remember the story of my wife and the whistling and what happened to her? And I told Joe that story, and he's like, oh my God, those fucking things are evil. All right? So, one day, Joe, you said, stop. Somebody help me. Go from there.
Yeah, and that was the final.
They're saying you might be a little bit too high.
Okay, because I'm pissed.
Yeah, he's yelling into the mic. But we get a lot of people that want to argue about where this happened, and they don't even know the circumstances, and they'll argue with us and argue with us. Like Bigfoot is not in the valley floor.
Right.
Bullshit.
How do they know? How do people know?
Right. We know.
Well-
because this is what we do. This is our job. This is what we know. Okay, go. That day happened. What happened when you said, stop?
Well, a lot of things were happening. My dog I live alone with my dog, and it started to get so bad where he was getting paralyzed, man. And whatever it was had him in a state of paralysis where he was literally stuck, paralyzed. And
Oh man, this is so creepy. When you first talked about this, I mean, it creeped me out.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened up to this point, and it started getting so bad. I came out of my house one night, and Donnie was arranged, and he was looking at me, my dog, and these things knew that my dog was my whole life. I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I just have my folks, which I love very much, and I got my dog, which I love.
See, but the key word is arranged. That's
Yeah, he
what's
was
so
put in a
freaking
position
scary,
where
man.
he was staring at my door, and he was stiff as a board. And I got so mad. I ran out there. I said, Donnie, come on, get up. I got so scared. I was like, breathe, Donnie, come on, get up. I looked out in the trees, and I just started cursing these things. And I heard this. And, again, I heard this, like, laughing, like,
Dang.
and I'm like, and there was a lot of bad language that was being spoken to me by these things. Just the worst language you can imagine. That's what they were calling me, these names. Now this wasn't this. They were speaking spiritually. They were speaking like telepathically, if you will. And they were, and I said, you know what? I know you guys are out there. I know you've been here for a long time. Leave me alone. Leave my dog alone. I said, I respect you. I know you're there. I'll mind my business, you mind yours. And whenever I said I respect you, all of a sudden his legs would loosen and he would come back and he could move. That went on for a while. Till one night, and we're skipping a lot of stuff. This is the end of it. This is like we'll have to backtrack to the other encounters because
Okay.
this is the last night of encounter with these guys. Right here was now. Prior to this night, I had been trying to get anybody I could to come over. Come over, guys, come see these things. And I was still calling them Bigfoots and Squatches. I was like, dude, come over, guys. You guys got to see what's at my house. No one would come. No one would come. And it was almost a joke. I was like, dude, why are you guys not wanting to come? And even my biggest, toughest buddy that was scared of nothing, supposedly. Heck no, I'm not coming over there. Why? You just come over and say, no one will come until the last night. And my buddy Jeremy decided, okay, I'll come with you, and he came. So we're sitting by the fire. We're sitting out there, and I'm looking at Jeremy because there's no crickets out. It's so quiet. Something's up. Something's all around us, in me, all around the place. I say in me because of another one we didn't get to talk about was that cold feeling when something jumped on my back. I was cold as ice. I knew that these things were more than just what a lot of people would call Bigfoots, mountain creatures. No, these weren't that. They appeared to be that, but they could easily go through walls, disappear, etc., 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 and play mind games. And they can speak to you into your mind directly. So we're sitting there by the fire. I'm just looking at Jeremy. I go, you feel that? And he's like, and Jeremy's a smart guy. And he goes, he's kind of like, well, yeah, he kind of beats around the bush. I'm like, Jeremy, come here real quick. And I just start scanning the pasture, and bam, there's these big old eyes above the corral, and I don't even care. At this point, I saw so many. I'm like, I'm just looking at my buddy, and you know what I mean. And his eyes his face just drops, like, and he's looking at it. I'm like, I'm just looking at him, and I went click. Oh, no, sorry. Before I turned it off, that thing went like this. It put its hand up, and it was like this. It was moving some weird way, like he was on a boat. He was moving like fluid. Like, he was all like this. Like, moving all over the place, but he was waving. And I was like, and I waved back, and Jeremy was just looking. I looked at him again, and I went, click. And then we walked back to the fire, and we sat down, and we just sat there, and Jeremy was just looking at the fire. I'm like, and I'm looking at my buddy. I'm like, so now you believe? And he's like, I saw something. I was like, he goes, maybe it was just a post. I'm like, ah. I'm like, yeah. So a post had those two bright red, or I can't remember if it was like white or green or red, because there was green reflections, red, and then white. But I don't remember what color. I think it was red or green. I said, so that bright colored reflection, that was a post, and when the post waved at you, that was a post, and you just kind of like, that was crazy stuff, man. It was crazy stuff. I'm like, I know. I told you I'm not crazy. And he goes, I believed you, man. I knew you weren't crazy. But I'm like, nah, dude, you thought I was kind of crazy. He's like, yeah, I thought you were kind of crazy. You know, he was cool. And we just kind of like, and we got quiet. And we're like, sitting there. Where's Donnie? And
Your dog.
yeah, my dog. Can't find Donnie. And Donnie's always there with me on my feet, especially during this time. He didn't want to leave me because it was crazy. And I can't find him. So I'm like, Jeremy, where's Donnie? Where's Donnie? He's like, I'm sure he's okay. Jeremy didn't want to go walking around no more. He was done. He was just staring at the fire. He wanted to stay by the fire. That was it. I don't blame him. I walked over by this tree, and there's my dog staring right at me, stuck stiff as a board. And I'm like, this time I got really mad. And this time I felt this thing go, like all this pressure came over me like I've never felt before. And fear that gripped me, I can't explain. It was like an invisible blanket of fear was thrown on me. And I was like, so scared. And I went to talk, but I couldn't. And that's when I started to, I remember Jesus. I remember my mom taking me to church when I was a kid. And I remember Jesus, you know, in the stories was casting out demons. At this point, I realized what I was dealing with was demons. And I wasn't an atheist no more at that point. But a major problem happened. I didn't want to pray because I was embarrassed to pray in front of my friend. And so I sat down. I said, get out of here. Leave him alone. And it got worse. The pressure came so bad. So I stood up and I went to say Jesus, but now I was paralyzed. And when I went to talk, my mouth wouldn't move. I went. So instead of praying, I just grabbed my dog in fear. I said, Jeremy, get in the truck now. And I grabbed Donnie and I went to run for the truck. Donnie's still looking like a mannequin dog. My dog, a border collie. I got pictures. Maybe you all can see it, but my screen's too small. I went to load the dog in the truck and I said, Jeremy, get in. He wouldn't get in. And I went to get in and something said, stand there. He said, stand there and fight. And I put my dog back on the ground and I went to pray again, and this time the fear got even worse. And this time it was such, I can't explain this in words. It was like a panic of paranoia. It was like an adrenaline rush of pure paranoia. And it was so intense that I was 100% sure I was going to die. And I saw I blacked out. And I saw myself getting dragged down the road by these giant people as they laughed and cursed me. My teeth were missing. And I was getting dragged down the road on my gums. And the blood was splattering out of my face as I got dragged. And I said, I went to pray. All I could remember was Jesus. Because if I'm going to die, I knew I better get right. But I went to say Jesus, but I couldn't because now I and the dog were paralyzed. And, sorry, man.
It's all right. You're not the only one that I've heard so many times people say that they get froze and they can't talk. As soon as they can, though, they kick ass.
That's what happened because all of a sudden, man, I went to pray again, and this time a voice spoke to me, man, and this voice was so peaceful. And he says, use your heart. And I stopped, and I went, I went to pray, and this time I had to break through that fear. And I went, Jesus, I know you're real, and that you died for my sins, and that you rose from the dead. I need your help. Bam! When I said that, all the darkness that your flashlight couldn't get through was gone, and I could see way out there. The fear was gone. I reached in my pocket, I pulled out my Camel cigarettes, my meth pipe, my weed, I threw it on the ground and broke it. And this voice said, live without fear. And I said, and I was walking around, I can't explain the joy I felt. I can't explain, the fear was gone. And I had this joy, and I started walking around. And I was like, the drugs, I reflexes threw them on the ground. My pockets were emptied. I said, who's this? He said, I am the beginning and the end, the creator of darkness and of light. I said, there's no way. I said, there's no way. He said, I know you better than you know yourself. I said, no way. And this was funny, man. It got so peaceful and quiet. And this voice said, way. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
no way. Way. And the love came in my heart that I can't explain in words. The fear was gone. The addiction to the drugs I was on was gone. That I never would have confessed back then because I was a liar. I was high. I wouldn't want to tell you I'm on drugs. Just like when I met you guys, I didn't want to tell you. The peace came over me and he said, teach the Word of God in a way that is loving and respectful and adaptable to all walks of life. He said, release love of self. He says, have only love for others. He said, my light will shine in even the darkest corners. I said, there is no way. There is no way. I have no idea where my buddy was at and my dog at this point. I didn't care. Who cares? I'm walking around. I'm like, I had this peace, man, and this joy. And I said, I don't know why I asked him this. I said, was Jesus real? And at that very moment, the darkness came back. And it got very frightening again. And all I could see was straight ahead. And so I looked straight ahead. And I saw this blue, it looked like fire. And I started seeing it forming something. And I saw a foot. It was on the ground. It was on ground level. I saw a foot. And then I started seeing a calf. And then a knee. And then a leg. I realized he was taking a knee. And as it started formulating more, I seen this stuff he was wearing. Gear. Weaponry and stuff. And I'm looking like, oh no. And there's someone on the ground. There was someone on the ground under him. And as I looked, he had a hammer in his hand. And he rose the hammer to strike that guy on the ground. And I looked away. I said, I can't even handle to see it. I knew what that was. I saw that Roman soldier. I saw the Roman soldier with the hammer in his hand. And he was going to nail the Lord to the cross for my sins. I knew what that was. And I looked away. And I said, sorry. I can't even handle to see what they did. And immediately the fear left again and I could see again. And at that point I knew that this was the God of the Bible. This was the God of the legendary Jesus is real. I was so happy. I was so happy. I said, there's no way. And then the fear left me, man. Sorry, it's hard to tell this story.
Damn you.
The fear. Jeff's got tears too. We all got tears. Well, so I walked away. And the fear left again. I was thankful for that. That fear that I felt was the fear of the cross. He took not only our sins, he took our fear, our sickness, our pains, our disease, our shame, and he forgives us, and he took it to the cross. I felt it, man. Now, I'm not going to say I felt what he felt. No. But I felt a small version of what God thought I could handle, what God knew I could handle to see. And so the fear left. I got out of the darkness again, and I'm thankful I came back to that joy. I'm walking around. And then smile eventually came back. I'm like, yes, God, thank you. It was like a whole it was like I was possessed by God right there. Like he was completely showing me that he can just, it's amazing. And I asked him about those Bigfoots, we like to call them. I said, what are those Bigfoots? What are they? Funniest. This is why God, you guys got, to those of you that don't know, God's real. He's an awesome guy. He's very funny too. He's a real person. He's a spirit. The Bible says God's a spirit. But when I said, what are those Bigfoots? I couldn't wait to ask him that. No lie, and some of you you already think I'm crazy, so I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened. This is how funny he was. I heard the Jeopardy song clear as day start playing. Do 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 do. So and I saw the lights like I was on a game show around me, and then it went bam, it was gone, and I was back to normal. It was so funny, and I was like, and he said, they're 50% physical, they're 50% spiritual. And I was like, but what are they? And that was it. He wouldn't tell me anymore. I think he wanted to play the Jeopardy song. He goes, you know who they are. Because I did, and I still believe they were demons. They were, and we call them demons. Even Jesus called them, well, the Bible accounts that we have of him says that he called them demons.
They're the demons, and why he said 50% human and why he said 50%.
Well, he said physical.
Or physical.
And
it doesn't matter.
Spiritual,
physical
right.
And spiritual. But it is human, though, because the fallen ones
Right.
had sex with the humans.
That's what it says.
And that is
right.
the offspring of that.
And then, oddly
These
enough,
are the offspring.
it says giants.
Yep.
Okay, and then we're going to get into that too because
Yeah.
you brought some.
It's
we're
like
gonna read-
Nephilim.
That would be really
Okay,
cool.
so continue on. Continue
yeah,
on.
and so I'm glad that I'm going to tell you guys this. I didn't get to tell this whole story on the because I was so nervous last time. All those lights, bro, it threw me off, and I just
Yeah, they kind of have it in your face. You
yeah,
know?
it was pretty
Yeah.
intense. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we get to slow down and tell the rest of this. So God told me, He said, teach my word. Love only others. I still struggle with that because I'm so selfish. I'm not
Sure,
gonna lie.
yeah.
But He was teaching me just to love people, man, and then to, it was so amazing. And the joy and the fear left. I went up to Jeremy, and he was like, when the presence of the Lord, I'm not going to say it left, but I was saved, or whatever they call it. When people get saved and born again, I was born again like those crazy Christians. I used to hate that. Your Jesus is a fairy tale. I used to laugh. It happened to me now.
Yeah.
I was the number one skeptic. You wouldn't hear me talk about God. No, but now He revealed Himself to me, and so now I tell everyone that He loves us, and He does. And so I'm walking around, man. The darkness is gone. The crickets are out again. Finally, the crickets came back. Finally, those crickets. And I'm sitting by the fire. It was a month since I heard a coyote or saw a cricket. Finally, heard a cricket. Finally, or whatever. That's not a cricket noise, sorry. But the crickets came back, and I'm like, wow. And Jeremy's like, Jeremy knew something just happened. I'm walking around, man, and I'm still talking to God, man. And it was just so phenomenal. Amazing. And this one moment, I remember I was thinking of stuff. Like I was just thinking of cool stuff like stairs with flowers, and it would begin to manifest. He was showing me that He knows all of our thoughts. Mm-hmm. He's the one, the highest power. Some people they believe in a higher power. Well, this is the one that created the higher power. He's the highest power.
Right. This
is the one that's connected to all of us. He's in all, through all, above all. And He's the man, dude. This isn't some corny religion. I mean, this is so tight, so awesome. But so here I am walking around. I'm still in His presence. My buddy's sitting there probably, I don't know where he was. He was like, wow. He knew something had happened. So it was so awesome. Peace came, and I threw my drugs out. I said, Jeremy, look. I went to my house, and I had a lot of marijuana paraphernalia. I started getting a cardboard box. I threw it all in there, threw the weed out, and I took all my paraphernalia, and I went and gave it to some friends, which sometimes I think I shouldn't have done. Maybe I should have broke it, but I gave it all away. I threw all my scales. I used to be involved in drug dealing and stuff. I threw all that away. I used to be involved in other sins, such as like pornography and stuff. Deleted all that, threw all that away. My music had cussing in it. Deleted all that. Now that wasn't done on my own power. It was those demon spirits cause you to be miserable, addicted, murderous, hateful. But God's Spirit causes you to. It's a different spirit through Jesus that He gives you the Holy Spirit so He convicts you of sin. You don't want to watch bad movies anymore. You don't. It's not that you're going to tuck your shirt in and I'm going to do better than everyone else and be religious. No, that's not Jesus. It's that His Spirit changes you. You don't do anything. You come to Him high on dope. He fixes you. That's what happened to me. And phenomenal. And I was changed. So all my house was cleaned out of drugs and stuff, and that was a full-blown 100% miracle. You ask anybody I know, my folks, I would never have quit getting high.
They want to know, how long have you been clean now?
2 years and 6 months.
Okay. So that was probably how long ago that we met?
Yep,
because like
it
right
all happened
before that, huh?
I met you guys like just prior to that when it started getting really bad.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying, do you still have Donnie? Yes.
Yes, I do. Yep, he's doing good. He's not paralyzed by demons no more, and he's okay.
Okay.
Those things I want to talk more about too. About those big things.
Too bad Donnie can't talk.
Right.
Because I bet he's seen a lot more than you did.
He was. And I want to finish the last of this part of this testimony, and then I would like, if we could, to jump back to that.
Absolutely, go
because
for
Donnie, I used my dog to see the spirits. I used him because I couldn't see him, and we didn't talk about that yet. We'll go back to that. But I want to finish this testimony of what happened when Jesus showed up.
Yes, go for it.
The real Jesus, dude. I know it's crazy, but he's really alive. This is a true story. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, remember what happened that night. I knew I was going to die, so I said, Jesus, I know you're real. I know you died for my sins, that you rose from the dead 3 days later, and I need you. And he showed up, and I was changed. But I never asked him to forgive me. And he knew it. So the next night, I'm sitting by my fire. I've already called all my clientele, if you will, because I used to sell marijuana. I called them all and said, look, guys, you're not going to get weed from me anymore or any other things. I'm done. Jesus showed up, and they were like, dude, Jesus. Some of them kind of laughed, but a lot of them believed me. They're like, wow. Because they knew if I quit smoking weed, that's the end of the world. I mean, I was the weed man. Ever since like junior high, I was the weed man every day. But no more, no. And it wasn't me, dude. I'm not good. It was Jesus' power. I did nothing to change. Don't ever pat me on the back and say good job. I did nothing. It was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But long story short. So the next night I'm sitting by my fire. I'm still weeping. I'm sober that my pockets have no baggies in them. I'm sober, but I'm so happy. And I'm by my fire just talking to God. Like, thank you, God, for this. Thank you for that. And something went wrong. And that presence came back that wasn't quite right. And something was looking at me. And something went wrong. Terribly wrong. And the joy kind of left me. And I'm like, and this fear feeling came back. I was really spiritually in tune at the time because of all the time I had spent with those devils, doing drugs and meditating, and we didn't talk about the communications I had with them, but we'll talk about that later. Meditation, and you can channel and you can speak to spirits, and that's a whole different thing. It's witchcraft, bro. It's demonic. But so I knew there was something there, and whatever it was, I can't explain this in words. It was reading my thoughts. And at first I said, get out of my mind. And it did. And I didn't see it, but I felt this presence step back and respectfully stand back. But it let me know I was there, that it was there. I know this is bizarre, it is, but this is real. I knew something was there. And I would look towards where I thought it was, and I could feel it. You know how you could sense when people are looking at you? It was that, but very amplified. Like, this thing was like, I'm here, and so I start wondering and opening up to it again, and it comes back. And I start seeing my childhood a little bit. I'm like, get out of my mind. And then it respectively backed off. So I got kind of bored. I said, you know what? Go ahead, read my mind. And I sat back, and literally I saw my childhood. I saw when I was a little kid, and it was like a slideshow, if you will. And I saw myself like a little kid, and I was like, whoa. And I was realizing as these visions went on that I was starting to see a pattern develop. And I was growing. Now I was a little bit bigger. Now I was a little bit bigger. And I started realizing something was terribly wrong. Everything that I was seeing was things that I did that I shouldn't have been doing. And I was so guilty. I was like, I can't believe I kicked my grandma. I can't believe I stole my grandma's cigarette when I was like 8. I can't believe I stole my grandpa's tools and threw them away. You know how kids are. I can't believe I... And I was seeing it. How bad I was as a child. I couldn't believe it. I was seeing my own childhood. And I was ashamed of how bad I was. Even from a little age, I was doing things like so mean. Like take my mom's hairbrush and like, you know, put it in the toilet. You know, kids, some kids are just... All kids were all bad. Bottom line, there is no one good.
I never did that.
Jeff did.
Me
He did
either.
it. Don't let him fool you guys. He did it. Okay. I seen it. No.
Yeah, I flushed it. And then it just clogged. Yeah.
Alan dipped Jeff's brush in the toilet. Okay.
Toothbrush.
So I'm seeing this. And it grows and grows. And it progresses. And I'm like a teenager. I'm like, oh gosh. Then I started getting really worse. And I could see that I was not proud of the things I had done. And I didn't realize how bad I was. Like, I always thought I never hurt nobody growing up. I always thought I was a good guy. Right. But apparently I wasn't good at all because I seen how I was. And I was like, oh my gosh. Every minor theft I did, I saw it, bro. It was crazy. Everything from stealing a pencil to pushing the guy down to cheating tests at school. I saw it. I can't explain it in words, guys. It was crazy. But as it and then God, remember, sense of humor. He fast forwarded a bunch of stuff because he knows here in America we're always in a hurry. Dude, he's so funny. He fast forwarded a bunch of stuff and he got to the current time, and all of a sudden the vision stopped and there's that fear. Boom, it rushed me again. But this time, this fear was 100 times worse by far than the first time. I knew I was dead, but this time there was pain. And it was like my body had nails and I was on fire. And I was like, it hurt so bad that I'm going to be intense here. My face cringed up and my hands went into the fetal position. My legs, I guess when you're in intense pain like that, you just cringe and you go into a ball. And I said, forgive me. Forgive me, God. And when I said forgive me, the pain, boom, stopped. And immediately I sat back and I felt and I saw those sins condensed into a material, and it went and it left me like the rings around Saturn. I saw my sins get forgiven.
Probably had to show you that, otherwise you would not get it. You know what I mean?
Think
like,
so, because I'm
you
not
would
the smartest
still
tool in the shed.
You would still be like tripping inside, fighting with. You know, they could use that like a war inside of you, a war inside of you.
So good, Alan.
So it fixed you. It made it where you could comprehend it with your brain. No more war. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, you could deal with it. You understand what's going on, and you could deal with it.
And then I understand the concept of sin.
Right. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. That was so good because he wanted it. Because he told me to teach, and I don't really want to do that because it's a very big responsibility, and I do want to do it because he gave me the love for people, but that's a whole other story. But it was supernatural that God did that, and the fear of those things was gone. The demonic forces were still around, but it was never like the power they had over me anymore.
You know what? One of the things that has been like actually ever since that we went out where you were, or we got the calls that they're in the valley. Mm-hmm. You know, because we're that's what we do. You know, is we keep track of like UFOs and Bigfoots and everything, really, like ghosts and shadow men, like the one we were talking about. Like that is. There's books about that. That's all over the world. Only what I'm finding is like on Bigfoot. You know, I'm almost 60 years old, and I lived in Yosemite, and I grew up all around the mountains around Yosemite, and you would hear about Bigfoot. You know, like you would hear about it, but it was so far and few in between that you got made fun of.
Right.
You know, if you came out and said, "Man, I saw a Bigfoot or a UFO or something," everybody laughed because
Right.
only nowadays it's like everywhere you go, people are seeing Bigfoots
Right.
and UFOs and shadow people, and I mean, it's almost like something happened or some kind of portal opened and a whole bunch of these things came in and they're all over the place, right? And the knowledge of them is
Right.
even on the increase, like of
Right.
how they work and operate and stuff like that. And
You know, and it's interesting because in the book of Daniel, that's an ancient book. Scholars and scientists
Right.
have proven how old these prophecies are. He talks about this. He goes, in the latter times, he goes, there'll be a vast increase in knowledge.
yeah,
And that's happening. We're starting to see that not only, yeah, that's a whole nother, you can make a whole segment of shows.
Okay,
on
let's
Talk
let's
about
go. Let's
increasing
go back
knowledge.
to your dog now,
that. Yeah.
because you wanted to go backwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go back there.
The during that time, man, I would use my dog prior. Now that's prior to all what I just told you, way prior, weeks prior. Actually, within probably the last 10 days is when it started to get very intense. Those things kind of let me know that they didn't like me, and it was kind of obvious because at first I thought these were just curious forest creatures
right.
coming to check me out, gathering intel. Although I knew that they were amazing at disappearing, like seemingly, but I didn't yet know that what I was dealing with was completely able to be fully invisible and attack you spiritually, do things to you, and then manifest in the physical out there. It was so amazing. But the dog, I used to.
Before you get into that, the reason why I took this away is we have a troll from the UK, and you can
Oh,
tell
he's back?
he's back, and you can tell it's the way he says rubbish. So
Yeah.
I'm catching him. So I want you to go ahead and keep listening. I'll maintain it because he came back at 2 accounts already, so I'm deleting them.
Yeah, and I'm not even hardly looking at
Exactly.
that thing. You know,
And I'm able
totally in the
right, and
story.
and I'm able to see it up here. That's why I was catching it. So I'll take care of this. You guys continue
Okay.
on. Okay.
Yeah, so I would use Donnie like my eyes, my dog. I would, especially towards the end there, when I realized that these things were all around and they were invisible. I started realizing these are spirits, and I would use Donnie to see them. He would be looking, like all around like this. He looked so scared, and I also had a wolf dog, my buddy's dog. That she was
I remember
actually
that.
the wolf. She was so
Yeah.
cool. She was actually the main one that I would use to see because Donnie was so scared. He was like in a ball at my feet. But I would use him too. But Maya, I would look at her and I would kind of be able to see. And then I would be able to see these things. And it would be like a mirage. Like it was bizarre. And sometimes, you would see them appearing to be physical. Like you would actually see clops of hair
Right.
at times, which was interesting. It was so bizarre.
Now you brought hair.
Yeah, did you ever test that other hair?
No, because it costs money to test hair.
Yeah, like $3,000.
No more than that, probably. Now,
man.
show everybody the hair real quick.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, you got it, Alan?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes. That,
See, it almost looks like horsehair to me.
if you look at it,
It looks like
look at in the light. Every single color's there. Like there's green, and then there's like blue, and then black, and then like see that?
oh yeah.
It's very bizarre that there's every color in there. There's even purple and red.
It feels like horsehair, but only
Why would it have different colors on it?
Yep.
normally they don't.
Nope. It's got like every color too. If you look at it, there's bright red. There's literally purple. There's black. Then there's green and there's white.
And where? Yeah, I see the white. Man, that is so cool. Where did you find this at?
That was at the ranch. I think that one. I used to have more, but there were just glops of hair showing up in places where it shouldn't be, like on splintered wood. There would be a glop of hair in it, and so I began collecting it. I thought it was cool, but
See that there is a test that you could do, that we could do. That all we need is a microscope, and we just take human hair and horse hair,
that's true.
and then we compare it, right?
Right.
And if it doesn't match, usually they'll match human hair, but only it won't have a cut. Like, like humans get so like the end of the hair, like if we're looking at it, it would have where you would see where it was cut.
Right.
Okay. But a Sasquatch won't have the cut.
Right.
And a horse hair and a human hair looks totally different, but only Sasquatch hair and a human hair is almost identical.
Right.
Like the cuticle and all that looks the same. But this is like some heavy duty hair. But you're right, it's like all kinds of colors. Like I never seen that.
I know it. That's why I looked at my horses.
Like,
at the time we had 3 horses.
Uh-huh.
One horse, his tail was just red, and I cut some off. I didn't know. I don't think I cut it off, but I went up to him. I was looking because I wanted
to see if it matched anything, right?
I still think it's from one of those things, but because I looked at my horses and none of them had that color hair.
Right.
It was blacks on the black horse. His tail was jet black.
Right.
You put it up in light, it's jet black.
Yeah.
You put that up in that light, you're gonna see some stuff there.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. There's green, purple, like red, like it's completely. But that's pretty amazing.
See, I always thought like the first Bigfoot I ever saw was black, pure black.
Pure black.
And then I saw one that was red, like orangutan red, and it was and it was doing the weird. It was jumping, like broad jumping, like, and it was going after some deer that I was going after. And I it was like jumping like 30 feet. Like just jumping. I mean, like 2 feet, and it would jump from tree to tree. And the first 3 times I saw it jump, it actually jumped and landed behind the tree, and I couldn't see it again until it started to jump. It would lean down, and like it would like bunch its. It would like get down like you're, like a spring kind of like, and all of a sudden it would go boing and go like 30 feet. And then land behind the tree. Then the 3rd time, it landed in front of the tree. Like, it was on my side of the tree that it landed. And then, it went like... And looked over at me like I didn't know it was even knew I was there, and...
Wow.
I jammed, dude. I totally started backing up. I don't know where it went or what happened after that. I was backing up, and I think I backed up for maybe a mile, and every once in a while I would do a spin, because I was scared. And like that when, that fear that you had.
Yes.
In the mountains, like I don't know how many times, even when I was a kid, you'll be, like I would be fishing a stream or something, and there's like little pools, and I would follow the pools, right? I would fish, and those fish, you have to sneak up on them. You just can't like walk up to the pool and go like that, because they see you and then they hide, and they're not going to bite nothing, right? So you crawl, and you get behind trees and rocks, and you throw the bait out. Well, every once in a while, a rock would hit the water, like a boulder, and then you'd hear the boulder hit the bottom of the creek in the rocks, it'd go kaboom. It's like, who did that,
Right.
But every once in a while, a fear would, like, just overtake you to where you think you're going to die. You can't run fast enough. You know what I mean? Like, I would start running sometimes, but then my mind would be like, what are you gonna do? You got a fishing pole. Like, what are you running from? Like, you think you're really gonna get away? I mean, my brain would be telling me that. Right. And then I would stop, and I would be scared shitless still. Yeah. But only I would stop and think, okay, so it's not unreasonable to run. Like. Right. I'm not gonna get away from whatever it is. But then I would never see anything.
Right. But the fear came up.
Oh my God,
it's like
dude! The fear is. If it was those, put it on you.
It's like they carry fear. Like, it's like their presence. It's like an evil presence, and you feel it.
Yeah. When it's staring at you, it's even worse, man. That was the most, like, when it's staring at you, you're freaking frozen. You can't even move. Yeah. All you could go is just be looking at it going, like, what the heck am I looking at, And then when they move, when they start, like when you said... like I call them ninjas, because now you see it, now you don't.
Right.
They're very, very fluid.
Yeah.
They're fast. They're freaking agile. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're so agile. It that part alone scares you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like how fast that they, man, dude.
And that's
Like your story totally resonates with me a lot. And then even like the Lord part bit, you know,
it makes
that
me
does a
wonder,
lot,
like,
too.
is there like mammal, like only ones that are just
I don't know.
Okay,
you
well
know?
let's talk about that now. You know, you had an experience where you think those things are freaking demons.
yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
And what happened to my wife? And I told you the story. Obviously, something evil made her sick.
Right.
All right. I'm not going to. What happened to the boy? To kill himself. Why? After seeing, not right after seeing the Bigfoot, but why would he do that?
No,
Okay, so let's take all that into consideration. You brought over with you some literature,
Right.
as far as, because now, I mean, after that day, you are now so into the Bible. I mean, you probably read it a million times already. You know the verses. You know the book of Enoch, and I think you wanted to go back there now and talk about what do we think these things are? What do we think these things
Well,
are?
I like this book of Enoch. You know, it's not in the Bible, but in Ethiopia, they their Bible,
That's
if you
their
will,
Bible, yeah.
that and the 66 books that we have, they have this in there. When I prayed and I read Enoch, I don't think that all of this was inspired by God. I really don't. But I think the Holy Spirit did inspire some of this writing. And through prayer, you can kind of tell, because whatever aligns with the scriptures, to me is going to be truth. Because in this,
Well, the Bible refers to that
Enoch,
book
yes, it does.
about 3 times, and I mean they're quoting it, right?
That's right.
They're
He does
quoting
quote it. They do quote this book in the Bible,
Yeah.
which is interesting. And it doesn't mean just because they quoted it, it still doesn't mean that this whole thing is the Word of God.
I think it's the history. I think there's
Yeah,
history there.
I
that
think there is. I do.
It doesn't. The Bible doesn't like go in details on a lot of stuff.
Right.
It just says this.
Right.
Right.
But
this
this one,
goes.
especially
This
on the
goes.
Giants, it goes
This
deeper.
goes like
Yeah.
this, and this is why. You know,
Right.
and then you go into this big long story,
Exactly.
and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
dude.
And especially
and then
when-
it makes you understand the other book way better.
Right. And especially because I like to study the giants.
Yeah.
The Nephilim, and like here's the angels, the watchers, these principalities, powers, the demons. I'm kind of like you guys. I don't really hunt for the Bigfoots no more, so to speak, but more of the spirits. I don't hunt for spirits, just God, but the devils. I'm interested in what they do and what function they carry out. But especially, I really like studying the giants, because obviously when you encounter something like
Giants. Wait a minute. You're telling me there's giants in the Bible?
Yeah, in Genesis chapter 6,
There you
it's very clear.
Go for it. That's what I go for it. Do it.
And I'm going to read Enoch, and this is according to this, it's called the first book of Enoch, the Ethiopic book of Enoch. It talks about this, and this kind of aligns closely to Genesis chapter 6, when it talked about the sons of God that saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
And they lusted after them, and they left their spiritual dwelling of heaven, and they came to earth. And again, which is interesting, because there again is physical and spiritual mixing.
Yeah.
So now we're having a spiritual being actually having lust for women, and then having sexual intercourse with them and reproducing. And in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 6, it says that they reproduced
Nephilim.
giants. Right?
Yeah,
Nephilim,
giants.
yeah,
But I mean, that's what they call them, Nephilim.
exactly right.
Well, like what I was saying is, they were doing it not because they thought the chicks were like babes,
Right.
They were doing it to pollute the bloodline of the one that when you say his name, they all run away.
That's right.
Even when you're out there, like,
Amen.
those
They
things
do.
will run away and stop as soon as you start naming that name.
The name of Jesus, it's that's. The
I mean,
name of the Lord.
like we go in these haunted houses and stuff like that, and some people might get mad because they like it to be haunted, but only we could clear it out,
Right.
completely clear it out. Right?
Not haunted no more.
No holy water, none of that.
Nope.
You know, just straight up Jesus.
Faith in Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
there's it's this. We can make so many.
And you know
shows
what?
on
This is
It's
like
so amazing.
this is so paranormal
Oh yeah.
that
This is-
I mean that's a lot of people don't get it. It's like how I see it, like when he says he created us in his own image, right? And
Yeah.
and I mean that, I mean personality wise and everything. I think he totally created us like
Right.
him,
Yeah.
so that he can hang out with us,
Yeah.
and sit and talk with us. I mean, like once we go past this life and we're in the next life, and I think it was meant for this life too, but we screwed it up.
Right.
I think we are going to hang with him and joke around and go do all this stuff and go check out all the other creation.
Well,
and
that's what it
stuff like
says.
that,
I mean,
you know?
that's what Jesus taught. You know, it's the ones that repent, believe on the name of Christ, come to Him, repent of your sins, be real with Jesus. You know, you can get baptized, all that stuff, man. Walk with God, you'll make it.
Yep.
But if we don't get forgiven of our sins, I mean, it's not good.
Right.
And that's not coming from some religious belief. That was a personal, that pain. Remember I was telling you about when I wasn't forgiven yet, I saw my sins.
Right.
Those were sins that I saw. Remember I wasn't proud of what I was seeing? He was showing me my sins. That we've all sinned. But that's why Jesus came, the Lord Himself came to pay for that, so that it's an exchange. Just like the cross is shaped like an intersection, it's like the point of exchange where He takes our filth and our sin, He took the punishment for that. All
Right.
we have to do is believe on Him and come to Him, walk with Him and obey Him and follow God. And then He took the wrath.
Right.
So that we will meet Him one day and to be awesome.
And it gives us power over those things.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so,
of
so,
them.
so
This
let's
is so much. He gives you so much.
so let's
Right.
let's
I mean-
really get into the Nephilim and the giants.
Yeah,
and,
let's go
and-
back.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Okay. So it says the first book of Enoch, and this is the Ethiopic. What was it called? The Ethiopic book of Enoch. So this was in the Ethiopian Bible, and it's called the first book of Enoch, and this is chapter 15. It says, "Why and for what cause have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven and had sex with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? Though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women." So, I mean, look at it.
It's all about the blood, huh?
The blood, yeah, and that's interesting.
The bloodline
The
is what they
bloodline
were
of
trying to
Christ.
stop.
I agree. I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
They were trying to stop the Messiah from getting there by polluting it with these hybrids, these watchers of heaven, these angels. They were holy, they were spiritual, they were living the eternal life. They were. It says were. Yeah, because these guys now, they've lost it. They've left. They've left
You can't go back.
for sin.
Yeah.
Sin. It's okay. You have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men, you have lusted after flesh and blood, like those who die and are killed. This is why I have given men wives, that they might impregnate them and have children by them, that the deeds might continue on the earth. Okay, so this is where it starts to get.
Well, see, their children is the X-Men, Superman, and they're preparing us for that. Like, they're coming back into where everyone could see it. And, I mean, look at the movies. I mean, they're
Okay, now
preparing us for the
there's a new
Superman.
movie that just came out. It's called Valerian. All right,
Ah, I saw
the
something
same
on that.
director as The Fifth Element. It's getting bad reviews, but so did Fifth Element, and so did Jupiter Ascending. Okay,
Right.
the same director who directed Valerian also directed The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element has the secret signs of Planet X Nibiru coming this way. All right, so I'm telling everybody, go see Valerian. The people who are giving it bad reviews are people who don't watch shows like this, who don't get the hidden messages in these movies. Okay, like Jupiter Ascending, The
Right.
Fifth Element.
Meat
so
train.
so people who don't get it are just saying this was the stupidest movie in the world. But if you watch our show and you go see Valerian, you will probably get the hidden messages in there. I guarantee you will, just like you did in The Fifth Element and Jupiter Ascending. Okay, Jupiter Ascending to Ellen blew him the fuck away.
Yeah.
All right, so
And he was trying to get me to watch it for like 2 years. Finally, I put it in, and then I was like, I mean, I was like totally glued to it because I never saw anything like that. I can't believe, but only that opened my eyes. Like, then all of a sudden, Spider-Man and Flash and all these things that they've been like building up to. They're making it more and more and more.
Like Thor,
yeah,
and mythology, all that I believe really happened.
It really did.
It really happened
it did.
back then. Okay, where do you think they got all of these stories from? And it's coming now. I mean, we're going to start seeing things that it's going to be blowing people away. All right.
I mean, like there's some things that have been written, like for instance, like what you're talking about. You had a supernatural experience, right? Like them 12 apostles, when Jesus died, they hid, they denied him, and this is the part where everybody says, "Oh, that stuff's not true." Really? Well, why did those guys come back? Right? They all ran away. One of them even went and hung himself.
Judas,
yeah. Then they all came back, and then some of them were beheaded, some of them were hung on the cross, some of them, I mean, they
all of them except for one,
yeah. But I mean, they all gave up their life for it.
Oh yeah.
Now, if it was a lie,
they wouldn't have gave up their life for it.
Heck no, man. When you're laying there and they're about to chop your head off, you're going to be going, "I lied."
Right.
I'm not going to let them chop my head off
and
for
not
a
only
lie.
them, but you look at all the martyrs throughout time.
Yeah.
Even today, you look at the Islam agenda going on. They behead Christians every day, but they will not denounce because they know who's changed them.
Right.
And they know the. Let's look at this. Say that we've never had a supernatural encounter at all. And this is going back to, we'll talk about scripture a little bit here regarding the giants too. Let's look at this from a, like how I used to be an atheist point of view. Let's be logical though, and take time to look at the carbon dating on these prophecies. If I were to tell you that Isaiah 53 and read you that prophecy, you would say that was written after Christ came. Because it exactly explains who he was and what he would do.
Right,
Yet,
yeah. But it was before.
By secular scientists, and we're talking about guys that a lot of these guys end up, they believe, but they're like me. They had too much pride. They didn't like God, etc., etc., etc. But these prophecies that he fulfilled in Isaiah, it's proven by secular scientists and Christian scientists alike that it was written 850 years BC. Mm-hmm. Look at Ezekiel, the Psalms. They're all fulfilled. Jesus fulfilled them to a T because he is the one that was coming to save the world.
Right.
Physically, it's a spiritual saving, and then later he's going to come and he returns. When he returns, he's not going to return the same way. He's not going to allow himself to be beat on no more. But he had to be the sacrifice for sin, so he had to do that. It's amazing. But and same with the giants. You look at, for some reason, the government, and this, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Smithsonian cover-ups.
Yep. Yeah.
Back in, 1905 area? Early 1900, 1910?
Actually, before even a little bit.
They covered it up.
They're discovering giants and mounds and dirt all over the United States,
right.
And they're coming in and they're grabbing them and they're taking them and putting them in the museums, but in the back, top secret lockers, and it's
and then denying
just think. Oh my God, it's just completely scratched my mind. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
At the very end, the large warehouse and all of the boxes that are in there, those are basically all of the cover-ups that the government has that they're confiscating because they don't want the public to know.
Of course.
That's what's going on. So there's so much going on in our world that we have no idea.
Right.
But we are catching on little by little, doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Because it's making freaking sense.
Right.
We are witnessing these things. These are creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them, half human, half spiritual. They exist.
Yep.
More than one person is witnessing them. I've seen them. You saw them. They exist.
Right.
Okay. So what the hell are they?
Well, yeah, and you look at, worldwide, how many reports, some people call them Yeti, the hairy man, and all of them are huge. And the Bible talks about these giants that existed before the flood, and then if you look at it, says, and afterward.
Yeah.
After the flood. How did they now this, I never really
So
talked about
what?
this. How did they survive the flood?
So what, did Noah, like, come in and put a couple of them in there?
I don't believe so. I think that since, they were produced from spirits and flesh, they can have the power to go invisible and stay above the water. They're not restricted to this physical.
Have you guys ever seen the new movie called Noah with what's his face, where they had
I didn't
those
see it
those
yet.
rock monsters protecting the ark?
I heard it was terrible. I think I did see it, but it was
But see, it involves supernatural stuff.
right.
Okay,
About
it
the
actually
story.
huh?
It's like these movies are more just about the story. Of course, the production value is going to be
Oh yeah,
terrible.
no, well yeah, but
Yeah,
why would they
story.
include the Noah's Ark and they have supernatural beings made out of rock, and they come out and they start protecting all the people who are trying to basically take down the ark? I mean, literally something you would see in Thor or those type of. It just, why would they make a movie like this? With supernatural. You have to see it. It's I forgot the main guy is. He's British.
How many movies have they done with giants recently? Like the kid that has the giant,
God, what's his name? Help me
I
out, you
can't
guys out
remember-
there. You guys
I
know
can't
what I'm
remember
talking
it
about, right?
either.
Yeah, I know what
But-
you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
But I mean, like, even when I was a kid, like Jack and the Beanstalk. I mean, everybody knew the Jack and the Beanstalk story. Everybody was like, fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. I mean, like, and then there was the one that had the ox that was blue.
Oh,
Yeah, like tall tales and stuff.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel.
No, not Daniel.
Paul
Bunyan.
Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan,
Bunyan. There you go,
yeah.
brother.
But I mean, like, it was like they say it was a fairy tale.
Right.
Only when you look at history and you look at timelines and stuff like that, it wasn't a fairy tale.
Because there was a lot of giants.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
and you look at these conquests of Israel, when Joshua, I think, is in the book of Numbers, talks about this, where they went to spy out the land of Canaan. Remember that? And when he got over there, he said, or not Joshua, but the spies. Caleb. I'm not sure if Caleb went either, but this is historical stuff. And they went and looked, and they came back and said, "Yeah, we're
Russell
like
Crowe, thank you.
we're like grasshoppers in their sight." I mean, they were seeing these monsters. Caleb says, "Let's take them down." I love Caleb. These guys were warriors, man. They were special. I mean, these guys. Sometimes, I mean, this is a whole other topic about these supernatural people that they took out giants, and
Right.
I don't know how they did it, but God's power. These people knew God too. Israel, the first covenant, of course, was through it was God was for Israel, but people could become a part of Israel. They had to follow God's way, just like today. But these giants, man, they used to have battles with them all the time. All through the scriptures, it talks about it. Look at David and Goliath. That man was huge. An entire army was scared of this guy.
Well, what's kind of weird is in the last probably, I don't know, 2 months, okay, I've been doing a lot of research. I've been I've been hearing about Planet X coming.
Oh, Nibiru?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking
Nibiru, Planet X, stuff like that. And these supposedly brought giants, right? This Nibiru, it brought the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki was like a giant race, and all this is supposed to be coming, and the Pope and the Catholics they've been watching for it. They have this telescope called the Lucifer. They actually have 3 telescopes. Like, one is two 28-foot mirrors that see in the infrared and aimed at a certain part of the sky where this is coming, right? So all this stuff that we're reading now, the culmination of the story is culminating in our lifetime,
Right.
right? Like the giants, it said in the days of Noah there was giants. Well, in our days is going to be like the days of Noah.
That's right. That's what Jesus said.
So we're
man.
starting to see all these things, right? And I'm starting to put all this together, like.
It's like they're like getting us ready for something.
Yeah,
they're conditioning us. They are conditioning
Have you
us.
guys heard?
It's in the movies. It's in the books. It's in your real life experiences and stuff like that. I mean, it's getting off the chain.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a coincidence no more. You know what I mean? Like it would be every so often you hear a story. Well, now it's like in the news and the movies and I mean, like they're just like throwing this stuff at you, and it's going to happen in our lifetime.
Okay.
In the book of Genesis, I was studying this one. It talks about a astronomy event, and it shows, I think it's the Virgin or Virgo, and it only happened one time in history, and that was when Adam and Eve were walking on the earth. Okay, so the Virgin had Jupiter, which is the king, represents the king, gave birth, and she had 12 stars wrapped around her head. Okay, now for all these astronomical events to happen again, it doesn't. And this is what's really weird. The last time it happened, and the first time, as far as we know, happened whenever Adam and Eve were walking on the earth. The next time it's going to happen is September 23rd, 2017. Right now, the baby Jupiter is in the womb, circling, and has been since the last blood moon. That's when it went in, and now it's in there, and then on September 23rd, it's going to come out. Okay.
So what do you think it's going to do?
Well, that's when the bruise is. That's when the bruise is going to happen to the head of the snake, because okay, and it says a third of the stars and the planets, when this happens, is going to hit the earth.
They fall.
Okay?
That's right.
Okay, like,
and stars fall too.
Yeah, it's going to say stars and everything, but what if it isn't stars and everything? What if it's the Nibiru and this other thing coming in that we're already seeing starting to? It's affecting the sun. It's already affecting the earth. I mean,
true. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
We have this eclipse happening.
Yeah, we have the eclipse happening.
Month.
Yeah, and supposedly now, according to my research, everybody, you guys, even if you're not where the actual eclipse is, like that's more north of us,
right?
It's
like Oregon, and it goes like.
But we'll still see part of it, right? We're going to see like a half of it or something like that. Here, everywhere where you're going to see a partial one, look in the sky, because you might be able to see this Planet X coming with your own eyes, and it might be the beginning of always seeing.
Technically, you're not supposed to look at an eclipse because it's very, very bright, and you can damage your retinas. And so, what I would suggest to do, everybody, is go to the hardware store or Harbor Freight, and you can literally buy welding glasses, very, very cheap, $2, $5, $10. Grab some, okay? Grab some for your family. They don't cost much. They're literally $3. And when it happens next month, put them on and look up, and let's see if we can see something.
Well, it should be lots of pictures and everything. Only that is supposedly now, that's the beginning of the end of this last, and what all these Bigfoots and all this weird stuff that it's all building up to this thing. Because when you go into, there's like a program that you could use to do this astronomical alignments and everything. This astronomical alignment doesn't happen again, right? It only happened once when Adam and Eve were walking around, and it's going to happen now. Like, that's significant, and they're only a few months away. Especially when, like, the things that you're talking about, and you're not the only one talking about it. There's some other people saying that these things are giving them messages, and they're the spokesperson for them, right? I mean, it gets deep when it gets to the Bigfoot.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we are at the point where it's 8 o'clock. And is there? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we covered tonight.
Yeah, we left a lot of stuff out too.
I know. What
Can we do a
what-
part 2?
We can always talk about it again.
Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah, because as far as those things go, I've seen some other ones that
Now,
during the same month.
now
but
I was going to say.
we can always talk about it later.
So you have seen after that. After all that happened, have you experienced anything else out there?
I've never seen anything, but I've definitely experienced things. There's spirits, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's principalities, powers, and there's spirits. And but I've had a lot of friends that have seen stuff out around, actually at my house. And I just started laughing. I was like, dun dun dun! Here we go again, But
I bet that blows them away too, huh? Because
my buddy saw he said a huge black thing cross my driveway. That's all he said. I'm like, yeah, doesn't surprise me.
I bet it blows them away because usually people are pretty sanitized. Like, that only happens in the movies, that
Right.
doesn't happen in real life.
Right.
When it starts happening in real life, they start questioning their own sanity,
And a lot of people are afraid to talk about the things they've seen.
True.
But we don't have the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. So we're not afraid to testify, about what we've seen and what God has done and things like that. So.
Well,
That's freaking awesome, man.
What part did you still have to talk about? I mean, what?
I mean, there's different. One time I'll just tell you guys. I think I told you, Jeff, about the one I saw. One time I went out in the corral and I saw one. It was this huge guy, and he was out there and he was going like this. He was looking up in the air and his hands were like this. And he went like this and he kind of curved his head over like that.
And looked at you.
And he looked at me, but when he did, one eye, it was like bright white, and the other there was no light, barely. One eye was really small, the other was really bright. And his face was all like rotting, man, like it was falling apart. And he had dreadlocks.
Whoa.
Some of his hair were braided, and some of them were dreadlocks, and he went like this. When he looked at me, it was the craziest thing. And he kind of smiled, he went like this. And he had jagged teeth, man, and that was my favorite one I ever saw. I had to tell you guys about that one. It was insane, man. It was so insane, and it was nuts.
Wow. Well,
See, and you're not far from Keith, and Keith is
now. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Now, you all have to remember, for those who have been watching this show for a long time, now realize that the little boys and what Joe witnessed are in the same block. When we first met Joe many moons ago, he mentioned 5 Bigfoots, okay? That's stuck in my mind, stuck in
mine
Ellen's
too.
mind. Then 2 years later, I get a phone call about somebody who witnessed something crazy right across the street from Avocado Lake. So we go pay a visit to him. What came out of his mouth pretty much told me, oh crap, here we go again.
And not only did he say 5, he was telling the same description of the crazy one you call Leroy or
Uncle Leroy, I called him?
I don't know
he
if
even
are you
described
sure?
that one.
'Cause
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
he described a little 5-foot one that seemed kind of weird, and actually he was more afraid of that one than all of them.
Wow, the little kid described that?
No,
Keith.
actually Keith
Oh, Keith?
described it. Yeah.
Now, Keith came over to your house, you said.
Yeah, he did.
So
Cool guy, I like Keith. We had a good discussion.
So
for a
he
while.
so he saw
You
probably
guys
saw,
have a lot in common.
so
yeah.
I don't know. He figured out where you lived. So we didn't tell him where you lived, and he came over and talked to you. But to be honest, where he lives to you, it's not very far.
It's right up the road there.
It's right up the road.
Up the hill or two.
Yeah, and for a Bigfoot to travel from point A to point B, we're talking frickin' maybe 15 minutes. Easy.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Hop in the canal and be right there.
Okay.
Well, especially if they're like these ones that can go invisible and stuff and do.
Right.
It's a whole nother thing. I'm not sure if there's just mammals or there's spiritual ones that I don't know.
Well, Joe.
That's the big question.
Yeah. Wow.
That was fun. I'm glad you guys had me on, man.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, it was.
We never have enough show when it gets to good guests.
Yeah.
We could talk all night about this
Yeah.
stuff, but
Well, we'll do it again. All right, we'll bring you back out and do it again. I told people before the show to keep an open mind. I didn't really tell you that. I just told you this was going to be freaking something unbelievable. You're just gonna. This show, if again, you know what we talk about. So there is no way you knew that something like this wasn't coming. All right. You know Bigfoot. We've talked about Joe before. You know that I don't bring anybody on this show unless I know they're the real deal, they're credible, they're telling the truth. Because I'm not going to put anybody on here. They're not. People don't come on this show to get 5 minutes worth of fame. There's no reason for him to do that. You know, he at one point was very, very embarrassed about what was going on in his life. Luckily, he saw us out, and I'm glad he did, because his story is just wow. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are probably happening to themselves as well.
Yeah,
You know?
I would bet all along the hills that people are having these kind of problems.
Oh, I
And
talk to people
they're
all
so
the time.
scared of it, and they're
Yeah.
afraid of what people might form.
Now,
an
what do you mean you
opinion,
talk to
know?
people all the time?
Well, I've talked to so many different people that have encountered just spirits or
Right.
or big old apparitions and different things. Bigfoots. So many people have seen these things out
Yeah.
there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if for some reason
all along right there.
the Kings River,
Yeah.
near those types. Okay. Well, we're gonna call it a night,
Snake
you guys.
Road.
I appreciate you all
like
tuning
that.
in wherever you are, especially that troll in the UK. Thank you for watching us. You must like us or something, because you keep coming back every month and every weekend. So you must love us. Thank you very much, and we hate you.
Yeah, man, I love
No,
that
we bless you too.
I love that he
No, we
quotes
don't.
shows, man.
Yeah,
he,
because he watches.
quotes,
He watches
watches
us.
all
Yeah,
of them.
He watches them. So, all right, for Alan Thomas and for Joe and for Ryan Bardellis and myself, Jeffrey, thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate it. We will be back. Oh, yeah, we'll be back again next week, same time. Thank you guys very much, and we shall see you later. Bye.
Have a good week, guys.
Have a good one.